welcome to another episode of the Cellcast. Joining me today, finally, again, he's back, and a man that we are so happy that everything is now fully with him, F.A.B. Welcome, Jacob.
Why, thank you.
I thought of that this afternoon.
Oh, wow. Nice. So, yes, why, thank you. And thank you again for your prayers. I appreciate it. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, the man who, if he needed to go somewhere in a hurry, don't go into that TV world because you'll never make it because it's so slow. Welcome, Drew.
I have a feeling we share a dislike.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
Tonight, we are reviewing a classic. Well, I don't know about classic. A sequel film to a television series I've only watched a couple episodes of. Thunderbirds Are Go, a cult classic, I will say, of British television, because that much is true.
Oh, okay.
It is a it's filmed in Supermarionation, which is a made-up word to show basically it's filmed with marionettes, except for the 3 scenes where they actually had the characters needed to push buttons, so they got a human hand to do it because they couldn't do it otherwise.
There's at least 5 of them. There's at least 5.
I know there's at least 2 buttons and one where she had to pick up the phone.
Yeah, had to pick a phone. There's one where they pick up an object.
Yeah, it's like
I was like, that cuts in very oddly.
But that's about the only way you could have done it.
Exactly.
So why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-free thoughts on this movie?
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
This is actually my second time to watch this film.
Really?
I watched it the first time about 2-3 years ago. I was visiting my parents. My dad saw that it was coming on either AMC or one of those old movie channels, maybe Turner Classic Movies. I don't remember which channel it was. And he recorded it, one, because he has I don't remember if he watched the show when he was a kid, when it got broadcast over here in America, or if it was something he had discovered later, and knowing we had a podcast was like, you really ought to think about doing something like this. And at the time, I just don't. I think I just kept forgetting about it when it came time to set our schedule for the year. So I happened to think about it. Oh, I remember now. Back at Christmas, we were waiting on Mom to get ready for church, I think. Because Christmas was on a Sunday this last year, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. We were waiting on her, and
no.
Or maybe we were waiting on Mama she was getting dressed, and we were waiting on her to go somewhere.
Yes.
Whether it was church or whether it was somewhere else is not important.
Yes.
And he says, "Well, what are we going to do while we're waiting?" It's like, you're a streaming services stuff. There's not a way you could possibly find the Thunderbirds. Is there? It's like, I bet I can. And it was on Tubi, and we watched the first episode together, and it was just fun to watch because it's this sort of stuff, but and goofy and still very imaginative for what it is. And we kind of enjoyed sitting together and watching this kooky, very cleverly made television show until Mom was ready to go. And we went somewhere, and I thought, that really is something we should do for the podcast because it's different than what we've done before, and quite frankly, the only other puppetry we've done is Muppets and Muppet-related movies.
Yes.
We need a different take on it. This is a different take.
Agreed.
So that's why I went ahead and put it on I of course, couldn't put the show on there because I could have, but it would have been a while till we got to it. But I thought, there's a movie, we'll put the movie on there. And I looked it up. At the time, the movie was on Tubi. And that's when I put it on the schedule. And then 3 months later, we're getting ready to watch this movie. I'm getting ready to watch, or 3 or 4 months later. And I go to look it up, and it's not on Tubi anymore. Again, oh, crud, where is it now?
MGM Plus.
MGM Plus, which I got through Amazon.
I never heard of MGM Plus until that. I was like, oh, that makes sense. But who? Didn't someone else own them? Oh yeah,
Amazon owns them.
Amazon owns
Why
them.
is it not just on Prime?
Exactly.
That's a weird
Makes no
thing.
sense.
I literally, what I had to do, I don't know if you did this, but what I had to do was sign up for the free trial,
Mm-hmm.
and immediately cancel the free trial, but I still had 7 days, and I watched the movie.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't have to pay 1 cent to watch this, or maybe not more than like $3.99.
I still had to cancel it. I forgot.
I warned you.
You did, and then life happened.
Like, fair. Ashley, if you're listening, go onto your Amazon account and cancel MGM Plus. Because the pup forgot.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway,
She knows I forget all the time.
right. It's
Absent-minded.
all good. It's all good. So the fun part was I was searching for something on YouTube for Thunderbirds related. I don't remember what I was looking for at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because Thunderbirds is on the brand. It's like, well, there's got to be like a documentary or somebody, some video essay somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever found it, but what I did find was that somebody had uploaded it in 10-minute segments back when, YouTube had a limit to how long a video you could put on there.
Oh yeah.
10 minutes. Mm-hmm. They had the whole movie was still up there from 10, 15 years ago. And I didn't know about it until I was like,
but never caught it.
Wow, I could have watched this and saved money. Oh, well, or not saved. I think I spent a little bit. I don't remember. I could have saved time and stress for both of us if I'd have caught this before now.
Well, to quote a song, Bill, live and learn, and what was it? Living on the edge of tomorrow. Yeah.
Live and let die. Anyway.
Yeah.
That's a different song.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
Also MGM.
Great movie. Yeah, you can watch it in MGM.
But.
Oh, that's a good point, because you can't watch James Bond films except on MGM Plus.
Well, I've got them all on video.
Yes.
On disc.
On disc.
On the disc.
You have all of them on disc.
All of them on disc.
Ah, okay.
Most of them are on DVD.
Oh, okay.
And then like the Daniel Craig era is all on Blu-ray.
Ah, I think that's the one I want to collect the most because I love the Daniel Craig series, or his run as Bond.
I do like his run. I like Connery because it's classic Connery.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of Roger Moore ones I like.
That's a Bond I knew was
Pierce Brosnan has a little bit of a nostalgia factor, even though I only like one of those films. GoldenEye. All the other ones are. I have opinions.
Duh.
It's like these are not as good. I will watch them.
You're a completionist. You have to watch all of it.
Well, I admit I still have like half of Roger Moore to watch.
Yeah.
And both Timothy Dalton films.
Oh, okay.
It's 3 Timothy Dalton films.
There's 3 Timothy Dalton. There's one. I can't remember. There's
George Lazenby.
George Lazenby.
Weird one that's stuck in the middle of Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And I have watched that one. So I need to get back to them eventually.
Gotcha.
I've also got to unearth all those from my video storage in the closet. But that's neither here nor there.
So you don't be like, I can see part of your collection to my left, and I'm very surprised you don't have a massive collection of all your movies like displayed.
I have never gone to the trouble that you went to in finding a good shelving unit to hold everything.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, I found a really good deal on that anyway.
Right. The one behind you was handmade.
Okay.
That one is older than me.
Fair.
Because that was in my dad's college apartment.
Yeah, I can tell. It's old.
It's old. It was in the attic for a long time. After it was in my room for a long time. So, in fact, I think we used to have a TV on. A very small TV.
Apparently.
But a TV. Yeah. Either way.
Yes.
So, we got off on...
We get tangents? No.
It's been 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
It's been 3 weeks.
Recorded an episode.
So, be like, it's like getting them back on a bike. You just kind of go with
So
it.
this episode, we're talking about Frozen. No, I'm kidding.
Oh gosh, no! Like, wait, hold on. How many times I watched that film?
More than enough. More than enough. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is my second time watching the film. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you have got it. But I think for me, it's one that you've got to be a bit in the mood for, and you have got to be aware that the first 20 minutes of this film is slow as Christmas.
First 15 minutes.
Yeah. Like you get the Thunderbirds opening and then
crawl
15 minutes and the opening credits are still going because it keeps it we'll get to that here in a minute, but it's like you got to be aware it starts slow.
It makes Sloss look fast.
I will say that it's not a surprise to me that this movie flopped in the theaters because of how slow the beginning is, and it's kind of, well, we'll get to that. But I enjoy it for what it is. I enjoy the artistry of it. For the artistry alone is my suggestion on watching this, but it is definitely clean. So yeah, if you're wanting to know if you want to watch it with your kids, maybe fast forward 20 minutes, and then once you actually get
launch sequence,
once you get to Tracy Island, you're fine. No, you can do it before Tracy Island, but still, once you finally see the last part of the credits, 20, I'm not kidding when I say it was 20 minutes in. I looked because I got to think, because I was watching going, holy crap, the credits are still going?
Uh-huh.
How long have I been watching? 20 minutes? No opening sequence should last this long.
No.
But anyway, it's a good film for what it is. Just be aware that there of those little things. What are your thoughts on this? Because I know this is your first viewing not only of this film, but of
Thunderbirds in general.
Thunderbirds in general.
Because I don't think you can escape the zeitgeist of British classic television.
Yeah.
If you're, a movie buff or whatever. So you're going to hear about these things. Be like, I've heard of Thunderbirds before.
Well, and there's a Thunderbirds Are Go TV series from like the 2000s.
Yeah, something like that. So be like, I've heard of it. I'd never heard of this movie before. And Drew's like, oh, we're going to do this film. What in the world? And you describe what it is. And it's like, oh, okay. So be like, it's no longer on Tubi. It's okay. So you get MGM Plus. And it's like, okay, let's watch it. Give it a shot. Like Drew said, first 20 minutes, I'm like, it's still on the opening crawl. Literally, it's on the opening crawl. But like, it's brilliantly done. Yeah. Do not get me wrong. It is brilliantly done. It is slow as snails movie.
To quote PaulJPowers.com, the opening is slow and boring.
Yes.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, because it's still cool to watch.
Yeah, it's very artistic to watch.
But it's like, I think the kids would have got bored watching this.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I would be like, if I was a young child watching that, now granted, it'd be like, I wasn't born in the 60s, I was born in the 80s.
Right.
So, like, if I would have been forced to watch this as a child, I'd be like, this is boring, and walked out the room. Because it's that slow.
It's like, we'll get more to it in a minute.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
Continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so I watched it and be like, it was kind of a drag to watch in some cases, and be like, it was interesting in others. There's parts of it, it's like, okay, this is interesting. And there again, this is based off a TV show. So there's a lot of the nuance you need to know beforehand. And I didn't have that. So I'm like, what the heck is going on?
I really didn't have it either.
Okay, fair enough. So be like, you have to have, this pre-information to watch this thing. And it's just like, oh, okay, so I'm missing context. But be like, it was okay of a film. It wasn't something I'm gonna go back and rewatch. Or I have to have this on Blu-ray or on a what is it?
Capacitance disc. VHS, DVD.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, I've got to have all of the form. Laser disc. We'll get to that in a minute.
I actually wouldn't mind collecting some laser discs. I just have nothing to put them on.
Fair. Be like at this point, they're just a display, like my VHS collection. But anyway, so yes, that is my spoiler-free review of Thunderbirds Are Go.
Hang on just a second.
As Drew types away furiously.
I forgot one little thing as I was going over notes.
Oh, no.
You know how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So with that note, why don't we go ahead and jump into our spoiler-filled discussion on this film? The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film Thunderbirds Are Go. Listener discretion is advised. Thunderbirds Are Go was directed by David Lane, who was also the second unit director on Superman and Superman 2.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, the special effects shots.
Oh,
basically.
okay. Gotcha.
Or the live action plates for those.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, what Superman are we talking about? There's
1 and 2. The 70s film.
Gotcha. Richard Donner.
Christopher Reeves.
Yes.
It was written by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson and is, of course, based on the Thunderbirds television series created by Jerry and Sylvia Anderson. Getting into the cast, we got Peter Dinelli. I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing this name. He plays the father, Jeff Tracy. And he played a character named Henry Carmichael in something called Portrait of Allison. By the way, I had a hard time finding stuff.
I can imagine.
That people would be in that we would recognize. So bear with me if you don't know what I'm talking about. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. Shane Rimmer was the voice of Scott Tracy, aka Thunderbird 1. And in Batman Begins, he played the older Gotham waterboard technician. In other words, an extra. Jeremy Wilkin, who played Virgil Tracy, aka Thunderbird 2, Space Colonel Harris, and Washington Control, played Captain Ochre in Captain Scarlet and the Mysterians. Matt Zimmerman played Alan Tracy and a messenger. Oh, Alan Tracy was Thunderbird 3.
Oh, okay.
And he played Kate Forsyth in The Spy Who Loved Me. David Graham, who played Gordon Tracy, a.k.a. Thunderbird 4. Brains, Parker, and Glenn Field, police officer, plays Grandpa Pig in Peppa Pig.
Oh, okay.
Already, this is the guy who I at least, even though I don't watch Peppa Pig, I've never seen Peppa Pig, at least this is something I recognize.
Oh, okay.
Ray Barrett, who played John Tracy, a.k.a. Thunderbird 5. The Hood, which was actually the villain from the original show, who they never said on screen his name, but it's the guy who was attacking
that's
the ship
name
at the beginning.
Okay, the Hood.
The Hood is his name.
So his name's not Jason Todd?
No, it's just the Hood. I got your joke.
Or Oliver Queen?
And Commander Casey. And in the movie Australia, he played Ramsden. Sylvia Anderson, yes, the same one who wrote the who created the show. Created the show, played Lady Penelope and Goldstone Tracking Station, and she played Dr. Venus in Fireball XL5, which was another television show made by this company. This company.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Christine Finn played Tintin Carano, and she played Barbara Judd in Quartermass and the Pit. Which, no, I don't know what that is either. Paul Maxwell, who played Captain Travers, played Van Leeuwen in Aliens, as in the one with the giant alien attacking the miners.
Oh, the good one.
Yeah, Alien.
Yeah. Are you talking Aliens or Alien? Oh, okay.
The sequel. The action movie, not the horror movie.
Yeah, James Cameron.
The James Cameron one, yes.
Yeah, which is still a good action horror
it's a great movie. Alexander Davian played Space Captain Martin, and he played Ted Casablanca in Valley of the Dolls.
Oh, okay. So I want to make one correction here because I realized I said something very, very terrible for a movie, a movie fan like myself. I just called Alien a bad movie.
Yeah, Alien's not a bad movie.
Alien
Aliens is a better movie.
Yeah, Aliens is well, let me clarify.
It's a
movie different type of
it's
film.
a movie you enjoy better.
I wouldn't even say that. It'd be like they're two different type films.
Yeah.
Be like, I enjoy Ridley Scott's original Alien, and then James Cameron's film Aliens are great films.
Right, but they are two different films.
Yes,
they almost don't go together, but they do.
Yeah, true. But I just want to make a clarification right there.
Bob Monkhouse played Space Navigator Newman and the Swinging Star announcer, and he played a character named Mr. Hell, and it's the Mr. Hell Show. I don't know what it is either, but I was like, that's a fun name.
That is.
Neil Callum played Dr. Pierce, and he played Richard Dick Corbett in The Woman Who Wouldn't Die. Charles Tingwell played Dr. Grant, PR officer, board member, and Woomera tracking station. And he played Inspector Craddock in Murder, She Said, which I'm guessing is got to be related to Murder, She Wrote. I could be wrong. I don't know. Lastly, Cliff Richard and the Shadows play descendants of themselves, and they are a band. That this is the only thing I've heard them from, so that tells you how much into classic rock I am. Because apparently this was a big band, a major band, and I have no idea who they are.
Yeah.
But they're British. That may be why I don't know them.
Probably.
But
British.
That brings me down to Kingdom Hearts connections. How many do you think we got?
0.
You're right.
This was 1966.
I mean, there
could be a possibility, but
I still throw the fact that there's at least one actress from the 40s era Disney films who does show up in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, yeah.
At least I think that's when I don't remember which is older, Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan.
Hold on.
But the voice actress for Wendy and Alice are the same person.
Peter Pan is older. Peter Pan is older than Alice.
I think it's actually 50s, but still.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I've got for cast and crew. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right, so info and stuff. IMDb is a 6.4. Rotten Tomatoes is a 57 critic score and a 59 for audience. So apparently the audience liked it a little bit more. It's available to watch on MGM Plus through Amazon Prime. Production was Century 21 Cinema Productions and Associate Television, distributed by United Artists. I could not find a ranking on this movie. Runtime, I got those two backwards. Go, surprise, surprise. Its runtime was 93 minutes, and it was released on December 12th, 1966. There is no box office information for this. As long as I couldn't find it.
That happens with some of these.
Yeah.
And this would have been I don't think this did well in Britain for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Because the TV show did amazing.
Yeah.
But
and it would make sense it wouldn't come over here because it's truly that country
did come over here, but not for long. It probably was not in theaters that long.
Probably not.
Because it was released through MGM. But I think they produced it too. Anyway,
well, it was released through United Artists, so
United, which was later MGM.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's probably why they own it.
Yeah.
Let's see. It had an estimated budget.
They merged at some point.
Yeah, it had an estimated budget of £250, which I'm not sure of the conversion from 1966.
I don't either.
Yeah, so I didn't do that research. So just if you know, you know. I don't know, but if you know, great. Let's see. Home release. When do you think this was released to the home market?
I am going to guess. First off, because I don't look this up because in case stuff like this happens, I am going to assume 90s and on VHS.
You're about a decade off.
It was 80s?
No, 2000s.
Okay, that also makes sense, and probably at that point DVD.
Yes.
At that point, it makes sense.
Yeah. So Thunderbirds Are Go was first released on DVD in 2001 in region 2 and 4 by MGM. In 2004, the International Rescue Edition was released. This is also available in region 1 and was marketed both separately and as a box set for Thunderbirds 6, which in 2014, which I think that's the
sequel to this film that didn't do neither one of these films did good.
Yeah.
But MGM apparently
they own the rights and they're selling.
They thought, oh, this didn't work well. Maybe we'll just make another one.
Yeah.
They're like, okay.
I wouldn't even say that. I think it's more because they had made this movie.
Right.
They had made this movie, and it's like, you know what? Well, let's just release it because we have the rights to it. Let's release it. Let's see what happens.
This film definitely. But they made Thunderbird 6, which is a sequel to this film.
Yes.
Which is weird.
Now I'm curious, like when Thunderbird 6 came out, because it's
probably a year or two after this.
Probably.
I'll look it up
if you look it up real fast. All right. So in 2014. Let's see. Twilight Zone, through its sub-license deal with MGM, released both films as a double feature Blu-ray set, limited to 3,000 copies and available only from the Screen Archive Entertainment website. This site re-released by Kino Lorber, I'm butchering that, in 2017. Again, I could not find any information on this movie. Maybe if I looked harder, I probably could have, but I didn't.
Thunderbird 6 was released in 1968, which is what, 2 years after
later.
this.
2 years
so
later.
Literally, they got done with this and then started making Thunderbird 6.
They probably when they stopped production on Thunderbirds Are Go, they probably started Thunderbird 6. Which that
or not long after that.
Yeah, because this movie probably took 3 years to make.
Well, thankfully, like a lot of the sets were already made. I think they did remake most of the marionettes.
Yeah.
Because, well, the versions they had for the television show were not really in good shape for film.
Right. All right, so that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right, getting into the summary.
Yes.
In the year 2065, the first human mission to Mars is launched from Glenn Field in the form of the spacecraft Zero-X. Unknown to Captain Travers and his four-man crew, master criminal The Hood has stowed away on board to photograph Zero-X's wing mechanism. Shortly after liftoff, the Hood inadvertently traps his foot in the craft's hydraulics, jamming them and causing Zero-X to go out of control. As the astronauts eject in the escape pod, the Hood extracts his crushed foot and parachutes to safety from the undercarriage. Zero-X crashes into the ocean and explodes. In 2067, the Inquiry Board of the Space Exploration Center concludes that Zero-X was sabotaged. Meanwhile, a second Zero-X has been built and another mission to Mars planned. International Rescue agrees to provide security at the launch, given the possibility of further sabotage. Jeff Tracy dispatches Scott to Glenn Field in Thunderbird 1 to monitor the situation from the ground, while Virgil and Alan are assigned to escort Zero-X through the atmosphere in Thunderbirds 2 and 3. Posing as a reporter at the pre-launch press conference, Lady Penelope arranges for each member of the crew to wear a St. Christopher brooch with a concealed homing device. On launch day, Dr. Grant's device is no longer registering, even though Grant is on board Zero-X awaiting liftoff. Scott unmasks Grant as the Hood in disguise. The Hood flees Glenfield in a car pursued by Penelope and Parker in Fab 1. Reaching the coast, he transfers to a speedboat and then a helicopter. Parker shoots down the helicopter with Fab 1's machine gun. Meanwhile, the kidnapped Grant is found and returned to Zero-X, and the spacecraft is launched without further incident. Mission complete, Penelope invites Scott and Virgil to join her at a popular nightclub called the Swinging Star. Returning to Tracy Island, Alan feels unappreciated when Jeff insists that he stay at the base while the others spend the night partying. Asleep in bed, Alan has a surreal dream in which he and Penelope travel to another swinging star located in space. Appearing at the nightclub are Cliff Richard Jr. and the Shadows, who perform a song called Shooting Star and the instrumental called Lady Penelope. The dream ends when Alan falls out of the swinging star and back to Earth, waking to discover that he has merely fallen out of bed. After a 6-week flight, Zero-X reaches Mars on the 22nd of July, and all the astronauts except Space Navigator Newman touch down on the planet in their lander, the Martian excursion vehicle. Investigating the surface, the men are puzzled to find strange coal-like rock formations. Space Captain Martin destroys one of the structures with the MEV's gun, and Dr. Pierce prepares to go outside to collect samples. The other structures come to life, revealing themselves to be one-eyed rock snakes. The aliens bombard the MEV with fireballs from their mouths, forcing the astronauts to take off prematurely, docking with Newman in orbit, then start back to Earth. The Zero-X re-enters Earth's atmosphere on the 2nd of September. Lifting body number 2 fails to connect with the spacecraft due to a radio control fault and damages various systems, including flight control and the escape pod circuit, with the astronauts unable to eject and Zero-X set to impact on Craigsville, Florida, population 4,800. Jeff launches Scott and Brains in Thunderbird 1 and Virgil, Alan, and Gordon in Thunderbird 2. Craigsville is evacuated. Lifted into Zero-X's undercarriage, Alan repairs the escape circuit under Brains' guidance. Seconds before impact, Alan completes this task and jumps out as the astronauts eject. The empty Zero-X crashes into Craigsville. Picked up by Penelope and Parker in Fab 1, Alan is driven to the real Swinging Star, where Penelope, joined by the Tracy family, Brains, and 1010, with the exception of Thunderbird 5, who's still up in that space station, toast Alan as a hero. Getting into the trivia for this film, the film's effects later became so well known in the industry that the crew of James Cameron's film Aliens from 1986 used them as reference.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
This is the first feature film to be shot using the Livingston Electronic Viewfinder Unit, also known as AD-A-Vision. This was basically an electronic viewfinder that could be used in conjunction with a Mitchell B&C camera to take a television picture directly from the camera, enabling the staff of the entire unit to watch any scene being filmed on the television monitors. This also allowed the puppeteers to better control their puppets and keep them on their marks in the frame. Thunderbirds Are Go was filmed during the period where the band The Shadows were playing Baldwin's Burns guitars rather than the Fender Stratocasters they were noted for, playing both beforehand and later. Anderson's creative team's attention to detail extended to making miniature facsimiles of the Burns guitars for the puppets for The Shadows to play. Well, to play, as because it has it in quotation marks. The 5 Tracy brothers are named after the first 5 NASA astronauts from the Mercury 7 space program from the early 1960s. Scott Tracy is named after Scott Carpenter. Virgil Tracy after Gus Grissom, whose real first name was Virgil. Alan Tracy after Alan Shepard. Gordon Tracy after Gordon Cooper. And John Tracy after John Glenn. Gary Anderson had a real Fab 1, the pink 6-wheeled Rolls-Royce, built during production. He and his wife Sylvia Anderson arrived in it at the movie's premiere. And if he was not dressed as Parker and she not dressed as Lady Penelope, her character, they did something wrong. Just saying. This film takes place during 2064 to 2066. Although very distinctly different, the appearances of both Scott Tracy and Paul Travers are both based off of Sean Connery by their respective modelers. Jeff calculates that as it is 11 a.m. on Tracy Island, it is 4 p.m. in England, and indeed, Lady Penelope is just sitting down to tea. Unless the world time zones have changed since then, by 2067, this puts Tracy Island actually somewhere off the coast of Chile or Peru, which admittedly, according to what I've read, the location of Tracy Island was a secret. Because Panavision cameras couldn't cope with special effects at the time, a scope camera was still needed for filming, so Technoscope was used instead. During International Rescue's mission to save the Zero-X's crew, Brains travels as a passenger on Thunderbird 1. This is one of only 2 occasions where a passenger has flown in Thunderbird 1. The first time was when Scott took Tony and Bob Williams to Tracy Island in the episode Cry Wolf. It's stated that Zero-X can travel 100,000 miles per hour. Spacecraft sent to Mars have taken up to 9 months, which would mean 270 days. At 100,000 miles per hour, Zero-X would take a shorter path, which explains the astronauts reaching Mars in only 6 weeks. The Zero-X interior was based off the look of the Concorde airplane, supersonic airplane that was being built at the time of production. The team was actually able to fly the Concorde simulator. Even though this film failed at the box office, executives at United Artists still believed in the big screen potential of the story and characters and ordered a sequel, Thunderbird 6, from 1968. But that film was also unsuccessful, and the feature film franchise was abandoned for decades until Thunderbirds in 2004. This film was given its premiere in the UK in time for the 1966 Christmas holidays. United Artists were hoping it would be a big hit just like the television series that inspired it. However, it had the bad luck to be released at exactly the same time as another famous film from 1966. Batman the movie.
Oh, okay. Adam West movie.
Yes.
That's right.
Based on the wildly successful television series that was capturing the attention of school children.
Sometimes you just can't get rid of a good bomb.
The film did eventually turn a small profit for United Artists after being re-released the following summer, where it became a popular children's Saturday morning cinema matinee because it made nowhere near, but it still made nowhere near the numbers expected. Lastly, at the very end of the film, when the Zero X crashes into Craigsville, the buildings are all made out of Lego, and it is very obvious.
Oh, that's right, it is.
And that brings me to the end of the trivia.
It makes me curious because I can't remember, because there again, I watched this 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Do they evacuate Craigsville?
They just did say they evacuated Craigsville.
Okay, good. It's not. It's just
it's not the abandoned warehouse district.
Yeah, no.
Of Craigsville,
like,
population 4,800.
Yeah, no. It's not one of those.
Smaller than where we live.
It's a small village. Be like, it'll be fine.
No.
Like, it's not going to London or anything. No, it'll be fine. So, be like, a few peasants will be fine.
So I would hesitate to actually say this to my dad, but do you realize how much this seems to have in similarity to a certain television show me and you watched as a kid? That we've had a guy on the podcast who has done many reviews of episodes of this television series that we both watched as a kid, that we have actually been on one of his podcasts and reviewed a movie based on it.
Okay, I know
it has a lot to do with Power. It seems like it has a lot of similarities with Power Rangers.
Okay, gotcha.
There's no morphing, granted. There's no kung fu action, granted.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 5 of them. Granted, we only ever see 3 in reality in this film, because 4 has one joke at the pool, and 5 is still in his space station the entire movie. Poor John.
I feel more sympathy to John than to Alan.
Yeah.
Because Alan's just more like, really? You're whining and crying because, I had this fantastical dream and blah, 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 blah. Because I got left out.
I don't want to be left alone back at the super tropical island. I want to go eat with Lady Penelope. It's like, well, granted, Lady Penelope is cute.
That's right.
Marionette.
For a marionette.
And she's rich, but then you're rich too.
Yeah, then you're
living
rich too.
on an island.
Exactly.
And I can.
Or it's just daddy's money bucks.
I can also understand that living on that island with 3 of your 5 brothers,
right?
4 brothers, and your father, and one girl who can only go out with one guy at a time, plus however brains fits into all this.
Yeah,
I can definitely see how you would be lonely and want attention. He has no friends, is what I'm saying. So but none of them can have friends.
Apparently not.
Stuck on this island, and then there's John.
Yeah, they're like
stuck in space.
Or be like, you even go to the fact that like, even when they go out they have to go in disguise when they go out, because apparently someone's going to know who they are, because all they do is sit in a freaking shuttle or whatever. No one ever sees them.
I know.
Which is the stupidest thing in the world. They're all wearing stupid mustaches and wigs and everything. I'm like, really?
What's funny is
you're a rescue crew. What do you think you want people to know who you are?
One of the trivia things I noted, I didn't put in here because I was looking through more of the show, because I was wanting to know more for my own knowledge.
Yeah.
Apparently there was an episode where they had somebody visit the island who did not know that that's where International Rescue was, or that the Tracys were involved. So he had to cover up like all the paintings of his sons that were in the skies, so they were different. And it was like, really? Nobody knows you're here. Why did you
Nobody
let
knows
somebody
you exist?
If this was such a problem, why'd you let them on the island in the first place?
Right.
I'm saying, as I'm well aware, that the pool had to come apart to allow Thunderball Thunderbird 1 blast off in the rocket, which we'll get to the rest. We'll get to those machines in a minute.
Oh my gosh.
But what is your first like for this
Well,
film?
I want to make another remark because this is a not a remarkable movie, but it reminds me so much of other things that are kind of silly and kind of goofy. So there was an animated series back in the 80s called Bionic 6. And it's very similar. It's very similar.
Certain it was based on this to a degree.
Maybe. Well, it's more. It's
based on the concept.
It's a family. Like the mother and father have superpowers. They're like ability to change and be like they become superheroes. So the entire premise is they have to keep their identity a secret.
Yeah.
Be like when they change into their Bionic 6 form, they're not wearing masks. So you can tell who these people are in plain sight, but apparently you can't look past the yellow spandex. Really?
Well,
and these guys have to wear masks going outside, even though people never see them. All you hear is their voice.
I'm aware of this.
Which is like what the frick?
I don't know the villain situation besides the Hood on this. There was a different villain in the one episode we watched, and he was very racist. Very well, racist in the way that Fu Manchu would have been considered racist.
Okay, gotcha. Very culturally insensitive.
Very culturally insensitive, especially since he was the villain.
Yeah,
but had mystical powers from the Orient.
Oh gosh, yeah. It was the 60s. Let's
the 60s. Let's just move on.
Yeah, it's the 60s. Let's give him grace. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anyways,
first like.
My first like is as I pull my tablet back up, and
apparently, Mad is actually the easiest one for me to press.
Oh, okay.
Because for whatever reason, Talk is way over here, Sad is down here, and I can't find the fourth one. Oh, there's Happy.
Because I'm happy. Anyways, my first like is actually the art style. It's puppetry, so it takes a lot of time. You're dealing with having to manipulate everything. So I just found the art style interesting because it takes a long time. So that's my first like.
Oh, short and sweet.
Exactly.
I'm going to expand on that a little bit because my first like is actually the miniature work in this.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of
that's my second like.
I'm kind of including the marionettes in with this.
Yeah.
But for the most part, all the different little machines that they use. But yes, that first 20 minutes where they're assembling the Zero X takes a long time. But that is as someone who understands, who it's so interesting to watch.
Yeah,
it would be more interesting to watch as a YouTube video, in my opinion, than in a movie theater. But then I haven't seen this in a movie theater. I could be wrong because sometimes things I think are boring on, television when I'm watching television actually play better in a theater when it's larger than life. So I could be wrong on this, but. It's not just that. All the model work on this is amazing to watch. The artistry and doing all that. Granted, the water looks like garbage, but you can't really miniaturize water, so you do what you can.
A little bit of bodies of water, a little bit of water bottles.
But the little water bottles.
Yeah.
But the attention to detail, even though sometimes it goes a bit overboard, is still amazing to watch on this film.
Yes.
All the different little things, even when it's something goofy like how the F.A.B one goes into aqua mode. I don't know what you call it, where it turns into the boat. And literally their way of getting there is just to drive off the pier, and you can tell it's an RC car going at full speed. They don't really have full control over it.
No, they don't.
It just goes, ring! It literally looks like a toy.
It does.
Jumping off the
It probably was. It probably was.
All it was. And then it's just sitting there. It's like, are you going to do something? And Parker goes, now, milady. and Lady Bell says, now, Parker. And he just fires his...
How many times
the machine gun pops out of the grill of this Bentley. I wonder how much Bentley paid for that. And it's just a machine gun that pops out from the grill. And at first you're thinking that looks stupid. And then it's like, nope, actually that's kind of fun. And I don't know how it was able to shoot a hot air balloon from a soccer pitch away. I don't know how big a soccer field is, but it was a distance.
It's the same size as a football field.
I think it's actually a little bigger.
An American football field, let's be honest.
That's why I said soccer.
Yes.
But it's still, even when it's goofy, the attention to detail here is still cool to me. For a movie of its time, I actually really appreciate this for what it is. Do I think they spend too much time at the beginning? We'll talk more about that later, but I think you already know my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second like?
My second like, I'm just gonna bounce right off yours. The production value of this, be like with the props and the amount of time you have to do with puppetry, is be like, because obviously they do little tricks here and there with be like the characters slide or whatever, and it's just the puppet sliding. And be like when you're dealing with like characters doing intricate movements through something. Now, granted, it's limited animation, but it's still
right.
It's interesting to watch because you have that appreciation for that kind of art style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like claymation or a stop motion or something like that. It's a very arduous process to go through.
Yeah.
Be like, this is a little bit faster.
It's not because it's not quite the slowness of a stop motion film.
Yeah.
Because I think it is being filmed at the speed it's happening, but that the way they film it though is very intricate.
Yeah, agreed. So that is I have an appreciation for that kind of art style, that it takes time, it takes effort. And I've never done puppetry, but it sounds like something interesting because you have to have a lot of patience. It's not like stop motion or claymation, but it's the process takes a little bit. It's a little faster a process, but it still takes a lot longer because you're having to do this and manipulate things. Because the artistry of it is really, really creative.
It takes more in the setup than probably the actual doing.
Exactly.
You may have to reset up.
Yeah, then you have to go in
again.
Then you have to go in and post and edit out all of the strings that are seen.
Right.
And that's painting every frame to get them out.
Yeah, this was done with marionettes, and so I'm not which there should be more, admittedly, for a 60s film, because this predates the Muppets. And the Muppets had the little marionette sticks on the first Muppet movie. Right. And I don't see any of that here. Granted, it's intentionally done a lot more stiff because it's being animated like it was on the TV show, which was very low budget.
Yes.
But it's still done very well. Because the marionettes are not the point. The point is to see the vehicles.
Yes.
Flying and going everywhere.
Yeah, and also the like you stated before, like the vehicles themselves, the crafts in which these characters use, the launch sequence of all of those are like, wow, that's intricate.
Yeah,
it is intricate detail
and it does not look like it was. They didn't copy and paste it from the versions they had for the TV show.
No,
from this looks like they filmed it fresh. It's not using stock footage of any kind.
There again, I've never seen the show, so
I've seen one episode. I don't really know if that counts.
Okay,
I like the only thing that looked familiar was when Thunderbird 2, the big fat plane had the little bay thing coming through. In both versions, it was the third one they used, I think. So,
gotcha.
I don't. Yeah.
All right. So that's my second like.
My second like for this is going to be that it's a 60s futuristic sci-fi. I think when it comes to like classic sci-fi futuristic stuff, this like might be my era. And I'm not just saying that because of Star Trek, even though that's probably a lot of it. I think this is just like the last point where space and the future seemed like it might be going in a positive direction.
Gotcha.
And so there's a certain sort of fun that they can have with it.
Yeah.
And plus, I love janky almost pre-space sci-fi.
Yeah.
Pre-space travel sci-fi more than I think even post-space sci-fi, because there's still this optimism and this hope of things getting better, and things are, even though it must have gotten better at a very slow rate, since this looks like it's from the technology is still 20 years old from now. even though it's supposed to be 100 years in the future. But I don't know. I enjoyed the atmosphere of it because it was 60s, yes, but it was futuristic and fun and hopeful and joyful to a degree. Yes, there were bad guys that had to be defeated, but you're always going to have bad guys that need to be defeated
because they're bad guys
on this planet. Yes, they're bad guys.
It's not a utopia, people.
No, it's not. It's not shown as a utopia, but at the same time, it's like things are getting better.
Yeah,
we are going to space in 2065. I'm not sure we'll make that now, but
who knows?
Hey, I will take.
You'll take a shuttle.
I'll take the Thunderbirds version of 2065 over what Star Trek had to do to get to 2063.
Oh, okay. World War III.
I don't want World War III.
No.
Although politics aside, I'm afraid one day we may get there. But I just love the aesthetic and the fun of this because it's just a fun 60s sci-fi futuristic romp, and I enjoy that in many ways. So yeah, I'm going to tell you my third like is a bit more of the same. But what's your second like?
Okay, I didn't write down.
Third like.
I did not have a third like.
So my third like is more of the same because literally I put good campy fun. This is just fun.
Fair.
It's not trying to preach to you. It's not trying. It's just a fun little adventure movie. That admittedly feels like about 4 episodes of the TV show in terms of length, in terms of how it's written. But it's just a fun. It's just good campy fun. Is it ridiculous? Yes, but the ridiculousness is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's just good campy fun.
Okay, fair enough.
What's your first dislike?
I
think we do share one of these.
I'm going to rearrange my list, and I see there is a something that is very similar. Star Trek: The Motion Picture, or as most people, Star Trek: the slow motion picture. That's what this movie is to me. It is.
That was like one of the things I was afraid of that I did remember of this film before I put it on the list.
It was like the first 20 minutes is the entire opening crawl of this thing. It's like no wonder it'd be like everyone's like, "What's going to happen?" Oh, great artistry.
Yes, it's amazing to watch.
It's amazing to watch.
From a technical point of view, this does nothing for the story.
Sloths from Zootopia move faster than this. This movie is so freaking slow. I understand it's puppetry, but I've seen puppetry where it's moving incredibly fast. And this is like...
Yeah, and I'm going to admit this is
I'm opening the paper.
Well, it's not that bad.
Let's open the shutter.
It's not quite that bad.
I know.
But the problem is, and because I'm going to jump in on yours because this is also my first dislike, is that first sequence is them putting together the entire shuttle because apparently it's in 5 pieces,
5 different stages
launch. And I'm going,
and the rover's the front,
right? And I'm watching this and going, okay, this is cool and all. Do something. This is cool, but it's not fun. This is like the boring part of this film. The first 20 minutes takes forever to get through, and it's like, I know why this movie flopped. Most people couldn't get past the first 20 minutes to get to where the fun is.
Yeah. And
then don't get me wrong, artistry wise, it's cool, it's amazing.
Agreed.
But this is not what I go to a movie for being honest.
Yeah.
I like the artistry and I want to see it. But like I said, this makes a great YouTube video, a great DVD extra. Not 20 minutes of the film.
Yeah, your motion, this is big motion picture on the big screen, and it's just like, okay, I get it. You're trying to show off the artistic,
I understand,
but speed it up a little bit.
I understand even filming all of this and then editing it into like quicker bits. So it's like this, and granted, that would have cut it down probably with what they actually had to about 70 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I know that, and I'm not saying that this is all padding, but it is 20 minutes of the whole runtime.
Yeah.
To get this thing assembled.
Yeah.
That's only a slight exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll admit there's a bit of exaggeration, but it's only slight because it takes forever. To quote a movie from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's cool to watch,
yeah, it's just,
don't get me wrong,
it's a snore fest to just sit through.
The fact that
they do it twice.
The second time is faster, thankfully.
A little. They just reverse the shots a little bit.
It's reverse the shot, them. And you know they didn't refilm them.
No,
it's literally the same shots.
They reversed some of the shots and cut the fat down.
They did cut the fat down because, like, okay, we showed you all this before. We don't have to show it to you again. It's like, thank the Lord. And like I said, I do like this film, but these first 20 minutes, like, as cool and amazing and awesome as this to watch, it's not what you put in your motion picture. You put part of it to show this thing while you're rolling credits by saying written by so-and-so, directed by so-and-so, produced by so-and-so, cast includes blah, 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 blah. Not 20 minutes. And bear in mind, we say it's the opening crawl.
Yeah.
After the Thunderbirds Are Go action opening sequence where it shows all the different people, there are no actual credits until that 20-minute mark.
Yeah.
And then it's just doing the produced by and the direct and written, directed by and miniature work by. I was like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And all.
Yeah.
This is not how you structure a film, even in the 1960s.
Jaws did it better. Just saying.
You are opening. I think the first James Bond film came out around this time.
Yeah.
Dr. No.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a better opening sequence in this because it's only about 5 minutes. If you're going to do this, I'm ranting a little bit. But I would have, for a action adventure spy thriller, which to a degree this technically fits into as in terms of genre, it kind of feels stupid to say James Bond did it better, but James Bond did it better.
1962.
See, they had time. They didn't even start production when Dr. No came out.
Mm-hmm.
You could have copied it and no one would have known.
Meh. But I mean, like there's certain parts of this film where it's like,
understood. They would have understood.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's just it's a slog to get through. And there are parts of it understanding the artistry and the craft that has to go into this, but you can speed your film up just a little bit. Make it a little more intense, make it a little more exciting for your audience. And I think it's just they failed in that aspect because this movie for the most part is a boring movie to watch. It's interesting to watch, but it's a boring movie to watch.
That's fair.
All right, so that is my first dislike.
And my first dislike. Okay. What's your second
dislike? My
dislike?
Second dislike. Okay. Let me go back to my notes. My second the villain. The villain. Okay.
What villain?
Yeah. What villain?
Three.
There's three villains. Yeah, I see two of them.
Yeah, they got the Hood, who they never named.
They never name who he is.
You've got the Rock Snakes.
Yeah, the Rock Snakes, which is like, okay.
Which is like, that's cool. I thought, are the Rock Snakes going to follow you back to Earth?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you got you got a crash that's happening with no villain involved.
Yeah, it's just more.
So, okay.
And like the villain, like the first villain, apparently he's a villain from the TV show. They never explain who this guy is, and it's like, oh, let me see your face. I like that part. That was fun. It's like that sounds like something right out of like the 90s and 2000s. Mm-hmm. Let me see your face. And it's just like, this is like, okay, who is he? And here's another thing. Here's another thing about the villain. So
this was apparently a major villain from the TV show too.
Apparently, I don't know.
I don't know who this guy is. And he had. I mentioned a voice actor.
Yeah,
I don't remember voice acting for this character.
Yeah, he says one or two things. So here's the thing. Be like the whole reason this jet falls from the ground is because our villain got his foot stuck in a
hydraulic pump of some
hydraulic press.
Right.
And I'm thinking, like, how in the world? Because these are hydraulic presses from the 1960s.
These are off, idiot. not you idiot, but
Oh.
this guy. Why are you stepping on the moving machinery? That's an OSHA violation, if ever there was one. That's a safety violation. Second of all,
I don't think he cares about OSHA.
it's still stupid.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's stupid.
Stupid.
Now I can understand. Be like if he's not paying attention to what he's doing.
Second of all,
But again, it's stupid.
Second of all, writers, if this is indeed a character from your TV show that was a major villain, like a I don't know, I'm trying to think of an equivalent.
Yeah.
Basically, a major villain that's supposed to be like the big bad evil guy for your series, or at least one of the closest ones. You take him out in the first half of the film. He only gets caught because he was stupid enough to get his foot stuck in moving machinery, as he was himself hiding out in the plane instead of using a minion to go do it. And he himself is pretending to be the captain of the
second go around.
This is not a very smart villain. And then he doesn't even talk. If I had not looked up that the Hood was a major guy, and this is mentioned as a big deal and all throughout all the trivia, this was his last appearance on in the property because he died. Not that I saw him die, but he died according to everything I read.
Yeah.
It's like, and his actor didn't come back. Which was the main reason the character never came back for the other stuff. Why is this how he goes out? Nobody. I've seen D-list villains in other properties have better last episodes, die in much better ways than this dude. Granted, yeah, he gets shot up by Lady Penelope's pink Bentley machine gun coming out of pink Bentley, which is ridiculous, right. But you know what? I live with it.
It's James Bond. Let's be real.
I love how I'll get to. I should have said this earlier, but I love how Lady Penelope does very little, and it's really Parker who is piloting the F.A.B.
Yeah,
but he only does stuff when Lady Penelope says to do it. Now, milady. Now, Parker.
He's a butler.
It's a butler. I get him. I was like, he should be he should be Thunderbird 6. Now I'm wanting to say Thunderbolt. That's a different movie. Mm-hmm. That's a superhero story of a different color.
Oh wow! It's like because apparently the Hood was actually a significant villain,
right?
And he's not even mentioned like who he is. I'll be like, our greatest foe, the Hood, is trying to sabotage this. Does give us no explanation who he is. Mm-hmm. Like the other guy, I think it's the Hood again. It's the Hood again.
It's the same guy.
Same guy. It's like give us something who this guy is, because apparently
that instead of 20 minutes of machines slowly coming together.
Yeah. And so like here's the other thing. So you have this prototype shuttle, which is being used by hydraulic presses, which they weren't using in the 60s, which is weird because apparently it jams the stabilizer. It jams the stabilizer. Do you know what a stabilizer is?
It stabilizes.
Yeah, it stabilizes your rear fin on your plane or your wings.
You're also assuming that this futuristic spacecraft is using the same terms as everything else. This could have just been like it could have been part of the gravity system. What my better question is, why is it that the landing gear that comes in off from as different machines when it connects in, why does one of them that's nowhere near where the escape pod is, not working, damage the escape pod to where the guy has to come in from the bottom, away from where any of that damage was, to put together a couple of
circuits or whatever,
and that somehow lets it go.
Weird.
Like, I'm willing to let them. I grew up on Star Trek, where at least they gaslit you into thinking it was all real. Like it was not logic. There was a logic to everything, even though there really wasn't.
Right.
This one just feels like they threw stuff at the wall. To a degree. Great. Like I said, it's fun, campy fun. You're not supposed to be thinking this fits in the same category of things such as the shark repellent bat spray.
Yes.
And so
that's funny and campy.
I can let it go on that purpose alone. But because literally, until I started reviewing this, I hadn't thought of that as an actual problem. But it's like, logically, this makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, Craigsville?
Yeah, Craigsville.
Who comes up? What kind of name is there actually a Craigsville? Is now what I want to know.
Yeah, is there a Craigsville in London?
England. Well, it was in the United States, remember?
Oh, yeah, it's the United States.
Because
I guarantee there's a Craigsville in the United States.
I'm Googling to find out where in the U.S. is a Craigsville.
There's several Craigsville.
Apparently West Virginia.
Yeah, West Virginia.
That is now got a population of 923 and is nowhere near the ocean. Nowhere near the ocean. So I remember seeing that name and I was watching this going, Craigsville? That's the most American podunk name you could come up with?
Craigsville.
Is Craigsville? Why don't you just call it Bug Tussle?
By the way, if you live in a Craigsville,
we don't
like
you.
We're not even putting a slight on your town's name.
It's not a very common name for a town. It just threw me. It's like Craigsville.
It could just be like it's going to crash in Carthage. Which Carthage?
You could have said Jacksonville, and I would have just accepted it no matter where you put it, because there's Jacksonville's everywhere, or Springfield for that matter. There's a reason.
If they would have said Jacksonville, it'd be like, you're talking about Florida, right? Florida, not Texas.
Anytime you say, "Oh, I came from Jacksonville," that's what people say.
Yeah,
oh, Florida. It's like no,
Texas.
There's more than one Jacksonville, folks. It's not that uncommon a name.
No,
I know there's only one that's popular, but that's like saying Springfield. You mean where the Simpsons live? No, and not the one in Illinois either.
No. But yeah, it's just like this is a very logically, it's like what the crap, because they never specify who the villain is. It's like, let me see your face. That's a great scene, but we never explained who he is, what happens to him, why does he have a connection, why does he want to sabotage anything? Nothing. And then it's like, the shuttle's having a problem. Surprise, surprise to nobody. This ship has a problem.
So this is kind of leading into my second dislike.
Oh, okay.
And that's that the segments of this movie, because that's the best way I know how to talk about what I'm saying, they seem disconnected. This is not one story. This is 4 separate stories that happen to be on this one, about this one mission of this one doomed space plane.
Yeah. Shuttle, whatever you call it.
Because the first one is, the first 20 minutes is just them putting the darn thing together. The second segment is the hood sabotaging it and causing it to not be able to lift off. And international rescue doesn't even help in that one. The thing just blows up on the tarmac, basically, or crashes in the tarmac, basically. And then the third one is international rescue is helping with this space, is helping run the security for this launch on this version. It's like, why didn't you do that to begin with? And look, the hood is back. Well, and we get down with that one with all this, and get the ship launched and get the hood caught. And I still don't know why the F.A.B. 1 had to be turned into an aquatic vehicle to fire a machine gun. But and then the fourth segment is this dream sequence that Thunderbird 3 is having. Alan. And the fifth segment is the guys on Mars fighting rock snakes. And then they leave, and that's it. And then the sixth segment is, the space plane is crashing into Craigsville. We've got to get everybody off. And it's like, none of these.
It's overly dramatic. It's like, really?
I mean, granted,
you gotta have to in some else.
It's all one mission, and it's telling the story of this mission.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting. And I get that a journey like this and all the stuff that goes around it is not going to necessarily be one story.
Mm-hmm.
But I've watched, I think, too many movies to not realize you could have connected and tied all of these segments together into a more coherent whole with not much extra writing,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it shortens that first 20 minutes. Because anything you can do to shorten that part, please.
Mm-hmm.
But they're disconnected, and that's part of the issue. You keep bringing up how there's how the villain is the problem. The problem is there ain't no villain. There's the Hood, who was a major villain and goes out in the third segment of this movie,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, okay, you never said who he was, because that could have been a whole movie dealing
easy
with that, and with a lot more work put into it, a lot more story involved in that. You could have made that the whole thing. But you had to go with the full story because because the thing is, the only connecting thread through any of these segments, and it doesn't even go through all of them, is Alan. Ugh. Now, granted, I don't know the Thunderbird show. This may be how Alan is on the show, for all I know. Alan may be the quote-unquote main character, and it's him having to learn how to grow up. Because I think that's what they were trying to show here.
Probably.
I think that's what they were trying to show here. And I can live with that being the main thing. It's just, I don't think they told it very well, because they were trying to tell this bigger story with all the other characters, with like everything else. The Thunderbirds themselves, much less Alan as its central character, they aren't in like half the film.
That's true.
And I was like, okay, that's cool and all, but I came to watch Thunderbirds Are Go, not the Zero X is Go.
Mm-hmm. That's the entire movie, basically.
And I think that actually might be my biggest issue, is the segments are unconnected, and I'm trying to say this so it doesn't give away my third dislike. They are disconnected because they're telling this one interesting story that could have been, you could have disconnected it from Thunderbirds and probably would have been done the same amount of good.
Yeah.
Because the Thunderbirds really just almost seem like they were brought in after the fact from a writing point of view. And they did a couple things with them, and maybe that's what happened. I don't know. But this just, it feels like this didn't need to be connected to anything. And the segments still weren't really connected. So, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it. It's just like, that's the problem, is there's as great as the special effects are, as fun and campy as the movie is, the story is very thin.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And it's because, like I said, it really feels like this is 4 episodes of a TV show that were stitched together. That's kind of what it feels like.
Or more 4 plot threads that were all,
right, but
together.
It still feels like it's written in like 20-minute chunks, except some parts of it are like, oh, we're in a movie, we can do a little bit more here.
Yeah.
Or we can do a little bit more in this little thing, and we can do this, and it's like, how about you actually get someone who makes movies to actually, well, I don't mean this is a bad thing.
Fair.
Would Toy Story be as good as it is had Joss Whedon not doctored that script?
Probably not.
I wanted a Joss Whedon on this thing to give the script a once over, actually make it to where the Thunderbirds, despite being the title characters, are not even the main characters of the story, except for Alan in 3 different segments of it, is what it feels like. So yeah, the segments being unconnected is my second dislike.
I gotcha.
What's your third?
My third, like, there again, I have rearranged my list a little bit. I'm going to say poor Alan. Poor Alan. Oh my gosh.
I don't think Alan's that poor. I just think he's a whiny little toad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Be like, poor little Alan. Oh my gosh, I didn't get to go on the big mission. Oh my gosh, I get stuck at home. Oh, woe's me. I understand. Be like, you get, be like, it's a team thing. Be like, you're not going to go on every mission. And like, oh, because everybody else gets to go to the club with Lady Penelope and I don't. Oh, woe's me. And I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to have this weird, funky dream where I go to this Very 60s, very 60s dream sequence where he goes to the nightclub, but it's a space nightclub with Lady Penelope and has all these great things where he's the best thing ever, blah, 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 blah. All I hear is like, okay, Nero playing the lyre while Rome burns. This is the most boring thing. It's like, really.
To quote my friend here from times in the past, build yourself a bridge and get over it.
Yes.
I get, and here's the thing. I think you can agree with me. Having a character feeling left out of all the cool stuff and having to have his own story where he has to become the hero is something we've watched a ton of times.
Oh, yeah,
and
agreed.
Seen done from a writing point of view so much better than what we're seeing here. That's the problem. We've seen better. We expect any movie to actually have a good writing. I get that may not be the point of the Thunderbirds in terms of the property. Yeah. But I think that's what people go to movies and watch television for, is good stories.
Yeah, agreed.
And this is a very weak sauce story.
It is. Agreed.
And Alan's part of that problem because he gets very annoying very fast.
He does. Now, Grant, be like, again, not knowing the show, be like, Alan could just be this annoying younger brother. But I think if they would have taken more, granted, this movie had having shot yet, but Top Gun, you have this idea of like Alan, who's he's the relief pilot or something else. So I can see where be like he's the only guy they got that can do this, and it kind of makes him more of the heroic character, and he has that more of a redemption arc. But no, be like he's just part of the mission. There's nothing that kind of builds up to be like you're rooting for Alan, this and this as a character. Be like you have this whiny little brat.
Alan never rescues the cat.
No,
that's the problem. They never make this guy. And granted, had I watched the show, I may know better who this guy is. I may have a better idea of who all these characters are. And it's not to say that you should not, when you get to a movie, even when it's a tie-in movie, and this is kind of jumping into my third dislike. So I'll let you finish here in a second. I just want to bring this up. If you are writing a movie that's connected to a TV show, I don't care if it's or any other property, you still have to introduce your characters. You can't just assume we know who they are.
Exactly.
And I'll rant more about that in a second.
Yeah. So I do agree with you that be like this movie could have used a little more doctoring. They could have, doctored the script a little up and gave us more introductions who the characters are, because they're going to be like, if you're going into like an American audience, they don't know the show, you need to give them information they need to know.
Even if they do know, I think the show did come over here back in the day.
Okay.
But still, you can't assume that every person in that movie theater watched the show.
Yeah.
Even Star Trek, the Star Trek movies introduced all the characters, gave you an idea of who they were. They did it in such a way, especially with Star Trek The Motion Picture is what I'm referring to, which is also a slow film, as we talked about.
Yes.
It gives Kirk a good introduction, it gives Spock a good introduction, and it gives McCoy a good introduction.
Yeah.
All the other main characters of Star Trek, yeah, sure, it doesn't give them as much an introduction, but they're all background characters in that movie for the most part anyway. It even gives Decker and Ilia good introductions. I still don't know who any of these characters in this movie are. I'd say, granted, I get the idea. It's like, Scott, the first one, Thunderbird 1. I think his name is Scott.
Yeah.
See, there's problem number 1. I don't know who it is. I can't even keep the character name straight. Thunderbird 1, I get that he's the big guy. He's number 1. He's probably the oldest brother, and he's the guy who pilots Thunderbird 1. Thunderbird 2. Probably the second oldest brother. I can understand why he's somewhat a big deal. Alan is the middle child. You think that by itself would tell you a lot? It doesn't.
Okay, so they're in
order.
Oh, they are in order. Okay, I thought Alan was the youngest brother.
No.
So like,
John is the youngest brother.
John's the youngest brother.
And that's probably why he's stuck in space.
It's like John.
I will say,
you're not that good of a Thunderbird. We're gonna leave you in space.
I will say, I don't know that 100%. I know that John Tracy in Thunderbird 5, which is that space station, is meant to be a monitoring station, and that's probably what he's good at.
Probably.
At the same time, I bet he'd like to go to the Swinging Star too, Alan.
Quit being so selfish, Alan.
You at least got to participate in the mission. John's up there going, well, I see the mission's going fine. Let's turn on the telly.
I've got nothing else to do.
Let's go. I'm going to watch James Bond now. Now that the Thunderbird, now that the Zero X is safely made into space. Oh, by the way, Alan, your younger brother, who's already up there on the station, could have done your job in the first mission of this movie that you were in, because you didn't have to be there. Alan, be glad you're being included. Alan.
I didn't even, because again, I've watched the movie in three weeks, and I didn't even realize. Oh yeah, poor John. He's stuck.
You know how bad John has it in the television show's opening sequence. He's not even mentioned as Thunderbird 5. His title is like Space Observation or something like that. It's like, he's Thunderbird 5 and you're not even letting him be a Thunderbird.
Wow.
What the crap, Jerry Anderson?
Wow. It's like,
I kind of feel like I have to come to the defense of John Tracy, since he's named after a relative of mine who would never claim my side of the family, but that doesn't matter.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is totally like Alan is a petulant little brat who'd be like, oh, he gets to save the day at the end. And he gets to do what he wanted. It's like, okay, wham. Then you think about it. Poor John is stuck in space the entire time. It's like, when does he get a break?
Do you know what his entire runtime in this film is? John's entire runtime?
Probably 5 minutes.
No, minute and a half. And that includes that bit in the intro.
You're kidding me.
I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Let me double check, and it's a minute and a half.
There's 5 of them, and only 4 of them are like prominently shown.
Only 3 of them are, because Thunderbird 4's entire bit is when they're in the pool. At the one point, he jumps up and says something like 4 or whatever, and that's pretty much what he does. And then he shows up at the nightclub at the end.
Wow, you're not kidding. Utilize your cast.
You could say a lot of bad things about Power Rangers, and I will not fight you. But one thing they did right, all 6 Rangers participated in the mission.
It's like, yeah, I'm the astronaut. I just stay up here and observe things. Wow, all my brothers could do on amazing adventures. I'm stuck in space.
I had it wrong. He was a space monitor.
Space monitor.
Yeah, that's what John's role was. Space monitor.
Not Thunderbird 5.
Well, he didn't. He's technically Thunderbird 5 because that's what the thing's called, but he is a space monitor. It's a stupid thing.
Well, yeah, be like you need people to monitor things, but you think be like ever since what's the dad's name?
Jeff, I think.
Jeff. It's like Jeff. Be like.
Yeah,
you're
Jeff
just
Tracy.
Jeff Tracy. Like, dude, be like you're mistreating your kids like no one's business. Be like, oh yeah, we're a rescue team. We only do the big jobs, and it's like, oh okay. So like
seems like a big job to me. Why aren't you letting your sons actually do something?
Yeah, exactly. Be like your first, what is it? You're only like your first three to 4 sons, or no, correction, 3 are allowed to do something.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, oh no. Be like, yeah, John's stuck in space, and Thunderbird 4 is like, oh, he's there. Like, utilize the cast.
I was wrong. Total screen time for John Tracy. 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
He's only in 40 seconds of this film. Thunderbird 5 is not, you might as well have left him out.
But they have to mention him.
But they had to mention him because there's 5 Thunderbirds. The next movie, they're adding a 6th because that's going to do great for John's
his run
self-esteem.
He gets 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's 20 seconds. No, 15 seconds. It's like, oh, hi, John. Bye, John.
Back to that connection to the Power Rangers. The sequel film as a Sixth Ranger. Moving on. I'm just saying, I'm fairly certain Super Sentai probably took some inspiration from this.
Oh my gosh.
Series.
At least they utilized their cast.
At least.
I understand you're a movie, and you'd be like, but
and the TV show probably did a lot better job.
Probably. This movie didn't do a very good job.
But for all I know, John just had a quick, probably was recorded once in like one episode, and it was just stock footage of the rest of the show going, Thunderbird 5 here. Everything is green. Everything's F.A.B. I had to look up what the F.A.B. meant. Apparently, it has no meaning. It was a nonsense term that came up as like an acknowledgement. Closest you get. And they did say this is not exactly what it means because it didn't have a specific meaning, but it was fully acknowledged and briefed is what F.A.B. stood for.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm like, you should have just said F.A.B. and moved on. I would have cared less.
You know what this reminds me of? Because I think it's all real over this very short, very, very, very quick little short. It was over the actor who played Zordon.
Yeah.
In Power Rangers. He shot for one day.
Yeah.
He shot one day.
One day, and they just kept reusing that footage over and
over
for
again.
6 years. Well, 4.5, because he was gone for a year and a half. But still, including a movie appearance.
Yes.
Not the 95 movie, but the Turbo movie.
Oh.
Because they had a different actor play Zordon in the movie.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But anyway.
But it kind of reminded me of that because John's like the guy he's in the movie, but he's barely mentioned, and he's in the movie, like Drew said, for 40 seconds. 40, a collective time of 40 seconds, people.
I really hope that Ray Barrett, who played John Tracy, got paid really good for those 40 seconds.
Yeah, how many seconds of like a couple of minutes of dialogue he had to record. Be like, hey, can I do that one more time?
One of those dialogues was off screen through a communicator.
I can imagine the actor would be like, hey,
I know he played 2 other roles.
Yeah, I can play one more guy. Be like,
please, I need this patient.
I don't get paid much for Thunderbirds. I need one more line, please. I want to get paid more.
So I'm going to jump into my third one because
Go for it.
This movie assumes too much that you have watched the show it's based on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to a degree, I understand that.
Yeah.
I don't. There are things that I can understand you don't explain because you don't have time to explain, and it helps if the people already know coming into it. But here's the thing: you can't assume that.
Yes.
There are plenty of movies where they have to go in and say that are connected to TV shows. They have to say, "Oh yeah, all this happened." I'm thinking of Wrath of Khan.
Yes.
When you have this whole scene of Chekhov and Terrell facing off against Khan, and they're explaining roughly what happened in the television episode Space Seed from the original series, which is hilarious when you consider Chekhov was not in that episode.
No, he wasn't.
So it's like, how do you know what he did, Chekhov? You weren't there, as far as we know. So, but you have to explain, even if this movie has less of that kind of connection. I just need to know, who are these people? You need to jump on that ahead of time. Tell me who Scott and Alan and everybody. Even if you only look at 3 of them, I don't need to really, as much as we joke about, we need to know about John and what he's doing up there. Admittedly, for this story, since they didn't, you could not even mentioned he's Thunderbird 5. You could have not had him in that little intro. Yeah, you have him on the set because that's how it was always set up, and you do have some communication with him. And yeah, you could say he was the younger brother but what do I need to know? I really need to know who Scott is. I need to know who Alan is, and I need to know who Virgil is, and I need to know who Lady Penelope is. You did a good job with Lady Penelope, but I think that's because that character probably got an entrance. They probably did her little thing all the time. This very much feels like they wrote it as, this is the next episode of Thunderbirds, and this time it's on the big screen. And it's like, that's cool and all. This is a movie. I need to know who these characters are. The movie that you failed against, Batman 66. Yeah, it didn't tell you Batman's backstory.
But you knew who Batman was.
But they introduced Batman. They introduced Robin. They gave enough of what you needed to know about your four villains to tell you what's going on. This, you don't even get that. They're just there and they're doing stuff. Did you even realize that all Thunderbird 1 does? Any of these things is he sets up a mobile base station to do communications between the teams. That's all he does!
So it's only 1 and 2 that do anything.
It's only 2 and 3 who did anything in this film. Yeah. 1 gets in his super cool rocket, goes to Glen Field, sets up his base station, and then just hangs out until the mission's over. Yeah, granted,
you have communication. But he stayed home for that.
He's facilitating communication, and yet, granted, you can do better communication if you're there with Mission Control. Mission Control could have given a lot of these orders, and granted, they can go faster, but at the same time, I don't think Scott actually talks much to the team, to the people on the plane.
No, he doesn't.
He gives a couple introductions, and they say, talk to the guys on Thunderbird 2 for all the setups and stairs. I was like, what are you here for? Granted, don't get me wrong. He actually is the guy who unmasks the hood. So he at least did that. That's because he was there. None of the only other person there was Lady Penelope, and she was still undercover. Granted, she was undercover in the parking lot in her Bentley,
chasing this car down.
No, that was not. Lady Penelope and Parker are sitting in that Bentley, a 6-wheeled Bentley, in that parking lot, waiting for something to happen. You're not going to draw security, in a space station / airport,
in a 6-wheeled Bentley.
Well, they all the cars had 6 wheels, but still.
True. My gosh.
There's a lot here that I can let go. And in the moment, I do. But
you really do.
I do have a lot of questions.
Okay, then.
Now, granted, I'm probably still rating this a lot higher than Jacob, just based on what I'm hearing.
Okay.
And I do enjoy it for reasons, but if we're talking about as a movie, as something that's meant to stand alone as a feature film, even if it is connected to these other things, I should not have to go to other places to find out information, such as the villain that got his leg stuck in the hydraulic lift was actually the major villain of the television show, and has a name. It's the Hood, which is not great, but I mean, it's at least something. All you had to do was, when you unmasked him, do the whole Scooby-Doo and go, the Hood? Old man Jenkins? You know what I mean?
Gosh. That's all you had to do.
That's all you had to do.
No.
And I was like, there's a big guy. He must, for the story, I don't need much because he's not the point. He just happened to be one of the troubles they ran up against for what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like the fact that they did it that way? No, but I mean, it can be done well, especially if you actually focused on Alan as a main character instead of the secondary. He's the closest thing to a main character in this, and he's not really in the spotlight until 45 minutes into the film. And that's a dream sequence, or right before the dream sequence.
Oh gosh, yes.
That's the dream sequence is what tells you he's the main character of this film.
Mm-hmm.
But even right before that, it's like, oh, all the other guys are going? I guess I can get back in my plane and go back there. I just missed it. No, Alan, you must stay on the base because we can't leave it completely unmanned. Well, Dad, what are you doing here?
Exactly.
Are you just going to jump in your space plane and fly off to the Swinging Star to eat lunch eat dinner with all your friends? By the way, who's watching the base at the end of the film?
Yeah, because no one's there.
Did John get to finally come down from the space station to hang out on the island? Because everybody else is at the Swinging Star.
You're not kidding. Oh my gosh, we're ripping this movie a new one.
Bear in mind, I did not put the bad movie theme at the beginning of this film.
Yeah.
I intentionally did not put the bad movie theme at the beginning of this film because I don't consider this a bad movie.
No.
It could be a better movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Jacob, what are you rating this film?
No. I want to hear yours first.
Oh, I'm giving it a 7.
Oh, wow.
I feel I might be rating it better. And I will tell you, 90% of why it's a 7 is the technicals.
Oh,
because there's a lot of great miniature work. The marionette work is great. There's a lot of fun here that can be had and is had. And in the moment, I can live with that kind of a fun. A lot of what I have brought up is me after the fact looking for things to complain about.
Oh, okay.
Some of these things I knew about. The slowness I knew about when I watched the film. That immediately stuck out to me. But everything else, it came after the fact, basically in the course of the last 2 weeks, as I'm trying to think of what do I not like about this film? Because there's more I have wrong with this film than just the slowness. And finally coming to the fact that as great as a technical special effect show that this is, and as good campy fun as it is, storyline wise, it doesn't have much.
Yeah, agreed.
And that will kill a movie for me faster than anything else.
Agreed.
Especially when I don't like your characters. Had I watched the show and actually got a better idea of who all these characters are, maybe I would care more. But I shouldn't have to do that for a movie.
Agreed.
The first movie. Yeah, grant there's TV shows.
Yes.
A TV show before this that would explain all this. But at the same time, if Star Trek and Batman didn't depend on that, you shouldn't either. At the same time, I did have fun with this, and that's why it's a 7. And the technicals are good.
I'm giving this a 5.5.
I had a feeling you were going to be a lot lower because I just had a feeling you did not.
Yeah, because they're going to be like, I had
in the
never
same
seen,
way I did.
I never had experience with Thunderbirds. This is my only real experience with it. And this was a slog to get through because they're going to be like Drew pointed, like overly explained that be like the story needed a lot of work. They should have explained more. They should have be like, not just be like, oh, one of those go read the novel or whatever kind of things. Be like, oh, you need to go watch 8 episodes, 8 series of this.
To quote a film, somehow Palpatine returned. And that's the only explanation we get.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Palpatine showed up again. We don't know how.
That is the epitome of this problem. And this movie has a lot of those kind of moments.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We're not telling you how it happened. It just happened. Deal with it.
Yeah. It's a very slog of a film to watch. I enjoyed it for its technical and the artistry which they brought to it, but it is a slog to get through. And I think just going through methodically and like maybe over expounding upon things, which we do on this show, is
part
just
of the fun.
Part of the fun. And it's a boring movie to me, but like I'm not giving it a 1. Be like I'm giving it more merit than maybe it should. Because this movie does have, technical merit to it. So I'm giving it a 5.5.
It helps that we all neither one of us would ever think to rate this around the same line of Leo the Lion.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Agreed.
Food Fight. Titanic, The Legend Goes On.
And on and on and on.
And the other 2 animated Titanic films.
Thanks.
Thank you for fighting that fight with us, Marchand. Even if that does mean later this year.
Oh gosh, just wait, folks. This is going to be interesting. Because we know what Marchand is going to bring.
Y'all know what it is because if y'all listen to the last episode. So.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. So if you know, you know. If you don't, just wait until what? December.
So I put it in the first week of December.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Because Life Day is technically closer to Thanksgiving from when that came out. But anyway.
Oh gosh.
Next week.
Something a little more palatable.
and with rats and with Vincent Price.
Did you call me a rat?
Oh, Redigan! Oh, Redigan! Something.
Redigan.
Bye, Felicia. Yeah, The Great Mouse Detective
Yes.
Rewind is next week. So join us next week for that. In the meantime, gonna play the bumpers, do some intermission, promote some peeps, and then on the other side, we are going to be talking some Batman.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Hang on. This week, we suggest checking out Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast, Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. You can find all their content at geekdevotions.com. The Cellcast would also like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz,
Thanks, Roy.
PaulJPowers.com, the Monster Island Film Vault,
Thanks,
and once again, Edwin Gonzalez has rejoined us.
Gracias.
If you would like to have your name shouted out on the show, some special art from Jacob, uncut episodes for $5, but for an additional $5, you can make us review something within reason. We do still have one patron spot uncalled for, so please pay us money and make us review something within reason. Also, check out our
merch store,
our Redbubble store in the links. And once you've done that, go check out Jacob's streaming when he does his art streams, or my streaming on Tuesdays when I'm doing game streams and possibly talking about Kingdom Hearts. I do need to get some more of those edited, admittedly, but join us for that. In the meantime, anything before Batman?
No.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. 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 There is a song that the folks sing.
Our first episode tonight: The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne. Production episode 27, broadcast episode 29. First aired October 29th, 1992. It was directed by Frank Parr and written by David Wise and Judith and Garfield Reeves Stevens. In this episode, Judge Vargas, a personal friend of Bruce Wayne's, is blackmailed by Dr. Hugo Strange, leading Bruce to infiltrate Strange's health resort in Yucca Springs to investigate. While in the resort, Bruce finds out that Strange has invented a machine that can see people's thoughts, and he's been using this on Bruce to discover that Bruce is in fact Batman.
Dun, dun, dun.
It is then up to Bruce to stop Strange from auctioning his secret identity to the Joker, Two-Face, and the Penguin. New cast for this episode, we got Ray Bucktanica as Hugo Strange and Carmen Zapata as Judge Vargas. Trivia for this episode: twice, Bruce looks through a drawer filled with tapes labeled with names of Dr. Strange's patients. In one shot, many of these patient names are connected with science fiction and fantasy. Dwayne Diane, a writer for Batman series and a sci-fi fantasy writer. Morwood C. Dwayne is married. Morwood C. Dwayne is married to Peter Morwood. This is confusing. Beth Meacham, a longtime sci-fi writer and editor of Tor books. Jeter K.W. Jeter, is a science fiction horror author and wrote the first cyberpunk science fiction novel. Campbell and John C. on adjacent tapes. John W. Campbell Jr., the most influential science fiction editor ever. The remaining tapes were Vargas Maria, Taylor Blair, and Wayne Bruce. Another shot showed more tape labels. Roger R. for Randy Rogel, who wrote for Batman. Rudish P for Paul Reddish, who wrote for and did art department work for Dexter's Laboratory in 1996, The Powerpuff Girls in 1998, and Samurai Jack in 2001, and Smith Dex for Dexter Smith, who did character designs and layout for the series, and Batman Mask of the Phantasm.
Ah.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. It threw me. An Uzi duel?
Uzi duel?
I don't know what that means, Nolan Richardson. Hi, how, by the way.
Hello.
I am lost, though, on what you're saying, so my apologies. All right, back to it. This episode is based on the comic stories The Dead Yet Lived and I Am the Batman, Detective Comics number 471 and 472, August-September 1997, by writer Steve Englehart and artist Marshall Rogers. Michael Reeves originally wrote a sequel episode to this entitled Mind Games, however, the episode was never produced. When the three villains pool their money together, they have several $1 million, and then the Joker pulls out his coin purse, and with that opening, it says, and 53 cents. This makes sense since the Joker it makes sense being the Joker, as that 53 is the number of cards in a deck when you include the Joker. This is the first episode to feature several members of Batman's Rogues Gallery working together. Until now, each episode had featured only one enemy as a primary villain. And during the plane crash at 18 minutes 39 seconds into the episode, Joker imitates the famous Goofy holler from Disney cartoons. So, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I enjoyed it. It's a very classic Batman episode. I did find it very odd towards when the three villains, or the four villains, are together, and you find that the animation starts to become a little off model, and the expressions are a little more loose. Yeah, and it'd be like that just threw me for a loop the entire episode. I'm like, because I don't know, maybe they wanted to make the characters more expressive or something like that. So you have like I don't know, it was odd. I was so thrown by it. Like the plot of the show, the plot of the episode is good. I was more baffled by the animation, because it was like, why is everything pulling and stretching way too much? Because like it's like someone forgot how to animate, because it's like the car drives off and it just stretches. Like, what in the world is going on? Like, granted, it's so animated beautifully. It's just like one, the Two-Face is modeled slightly off, the Joker slightly off. Penguin looks okay, but
admittedly, we have yet to have much with the Penguin. This is only
that is true.
His second episode.
Yeah, second episode. This is the first episode of Doctor
Strange.
Not
Hugo Strange.
Hugo Strange.
You have to say it
Dr.
that way.
Hugo Strange.
Because Doctor Strange by itself is Marvel.
Not Stephen Strange, but Dr. Hugo Strange.
He is not the Sorcerer Supreme. He's just the guy who figures out Batman is Batman.
He's a crazy doctor. But that's his first episode he's in, and I mean, like, it's a decent episode. It's just like the animation's just kind of, and the second episode has the exact same problem, except you're dealing with characters with a mask, and so the expressions can be a little more cartoony. And when you have Penguin,
it does feel like the animation quality has taken a step down.
It did. It's in some ways.
I don't know why.
But it's. I'll be like, I still enjoyed the episode where it was this kind of a goofy, like, Batman is like he's switched it and made Strange look like a fool, and so now the big baddies are want to off him, and it's like, okay, that was interesting, but you realize they're gonna kill him, so why did you just like do something else, because you know that's going to happen, because you know these villains. Like, you could have done something a little better, like maybe just taking them all out at the first time and send them to Arkham instead of this. Like, I understand you want to make it like exhilarating and fun, but like Batman, Bruce Wayne is literally putting Dr. Hugo Strange in extreme danger with these three psychopaths.
He also didn't have much time. This was definitely a botched plan on Bruce's part.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that he was able to get anything on that videotape and then get it switched out, I think already is already an amazing thing.
Yeah.
The fact, and then because I mean he didn't know the Joker and Two-Face and Penguin were on their way there.
Yeah.
And until Alfred pretty much told him, and he had to get that plan in very quickly. I think the idea of somebody finding out Bruce Wayne's identity is a good idea for a story. And I do think for the most part, storyline wise, it's done well here. The animation, like you say, is a little chunky, a little crunchy, but I don't know, it still works. It's following more cartoony-ish, like you said. It almost feels like it's being animated by the Animaniacs team, like they're the ones who set it up or something.
Yeah.
And the next episode has not as many problems as this one, but it's still got a couple of issues, especially one shot of the victim at one point. But we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
I still think though this is a fun episode.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
You can definitely tell we're not at the prestige television of the first season anymore.
Right.
I think we have stepped down to we've got to get this made and we don't want to pay as much.
At least it's not X-Men season 5.
No. This is more like X-Men season 3.
Yeah.
If we're being honest.
Yeah. So going into the next episode.
If you're so smart, why aren't you rich?
Well, because he is rich.
Yes, but Edward Nygma was not.
Yes.
Production episode 40, broadcast episode 41. Originally aired November 18th, 1992, directed by Eric Radomski and written by David Wise. After being fired from Competitron, Edward Nygma takes over the identity of the Riddler in order to get vengeance over his former boss, Daniel Mockridge. It is up to Batman and Robin to decipher the riddles that Nygma has been placing for them in order to save Mockridge from Riddler's vengeance. In this episode, new cast, we've got John Glover as Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, Gary Frank as Daniel Mockridge, and Hal Rail as a henchman. So throughout the episode, we get a bunch of riddles, right? Most of the riddles I was able to, even as a kid, I kind of could follow once I understood them. But the one that always threw me as a kid was when they mentioned that corn was as high as an elephant's eye.
Yes.
Because that made no sense to me as a kid. And it doesn't make any sense to Robin because Batman says, oh, it's an old song lyric from before your time. Would you like to know what the song lyric is from?
Yes.
It is from the title song to the Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, Oh, Oklahoma, where the wind comes whistling down the plains.
Okay.
Where the corn's as high as an elephant's eye, and I don't know how the rest of the song goes.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
This is a song I only know from other people going into Oklahoma, basically, and singing this, because for some reason, that was my uncle's tradition when we used to travel up there. But either way, and I've only seen the film Oklahoma once, and it is in that. But that's what that's from, in case you're curious.
Okay.
The character of Daniel Mockridge would later make a cameo appearance in Batman Mask of the Phantasm. When Edward Nygma is doing a crossword, one of the words appears to be Radomski, which is the last name of the director of this episode, Eric Radomski. Some of the sound effects heard in the Riddle of the Minotaur video game, according to this, are very similar to the Super Mario Brothers series of video games. I say they are the exact same sound effects from the games that are just pitched up slightly to keep Nintendo's lawyers off their butts. This is the first appearance of the Riddler. His costume is a simpler version of an alternative costume that Frank Gorshin requested during the production of the television series Batman from 1966, since he did not like the character's unitard costume. Since the introduction of this version of the character, the Riddler in the comics has largely abandoned his original costume for that green business suit and bowler hat look ever since, until the Batman. And they decided to put him in a mummy mask for some reason.
Weird.
You know which movie I'm talking about. The one with
The Riddler?
Edward Cullen as Batman. I'm trying to think of that actor's name.
Oh,
because the vampire finally became a bat 10 years later. He's, he's the worst vampire of all time.
Yeah.
I can't think of that guy's name.
Rough.
I'm sorry that he plays the dude that gets killed in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I was like, I know everything.
I like him as an actor.
Tenet. I know what the stuff he's in. I just cannot think of this dude's name.
Wow. Hold on. Yeah. Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson.
There we go. Robert Pattinson.
The Robert Pattinson Batman film has got the Riddler in it, and for some reason they put him in a mummy mask.
Oh,
they were
yeah.
trying to make him like what mass murderer? Serial murderer, not mass murderer.
Serial murderer.
The one that
Zodiac.
Zodiac killer. They're trying to give him a Zodiac feel. Anyway, the computer game, which is the heart of this episode, is based on Greek mythology. According to legend, King Minos had a monster, the half-man, half-bull, known as the Minotaur, as he commissioned Greece's greatest genius, Daedalus, to build a labyrinth in which to keep it. John Glover, the voice of the Riddler, also played Lionel Luthor in the live-action Superman TV series Smallville, in addition to having a small role as Dr. Jason Woodrow in Batman and Robin.
Yes.
Which means this is Plant Man. Not Plant Man. He has a different name. But he's technically connected to Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Assuming that's the DC version.
Yes, the Swamp Thing.
I get the two Swamp characters confused all the time.
Yeah, most people do.
But yeah, he's connected to that, and he's the guy who technically made Poison Ivy. But not this universe. Because it's a different guy.
Oh,
anyway.
John Glover. Good actor.
Yeah, I had to look him up because it's like, I know this name. Where do I know him from? Oh, it's this guy.
Yeah.
This guy's in everything.
Lionel Luthor.
But I didn't watch Smallville, so.
Oh, I did.
But I didn't. Anyway, I'm guessing that's Lex Luthor's dad.
Yeah, it's Lex Luthor's dad.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So this is actually two of the episodes I was looking forward to when we first started doing this, because I thought this was originally two separate episodes.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole corn is as high as an elephant's eye was stuck in my head because I didn't understand it back in the day. And I thought that was one episode. And then I thought there was this other Riddler episode where they had to do some riddles. And it involved this video game thing maze that I thought was so cool. How did I know it was only 5 minutes of this whole episode that was actually going to be dealing with that live action maze? But as a introduction to the Riddler, I actually think this is done very well.
Yes, agreed.
The only real bad, and you probably noticed more than I did because you usually do, the only real bad animation thing I noticed is that when Mockridge says the episode's title, it is very obvious that the background turns stock still.
It does.
He feels like he's being animated at like 3 layers above where he should be.
Yeah, I get it.
And it's like, and it's like, this feels like it was animated at the last minute because you wanted the character to say the name of the episode in the episode for some reason. Why? I don't know. And I could have sworn Batman, and like I said, I thought this was two different episodes back in the day.
Yeah.
I actually was looking forward to this one, and that to a degree, I think it did live up to what I remembered.
Yeah.
But we are, like you said earlier, we are to a point where the animation does start to feel like it's slipping in quality.
Somewhat.
Not a lot, but I don't know. It's like they're not. It's like they had a string of bad luck with some of the animation companies. I don't think this was ACOM, but then I wasn't watching for that name on this episode. I didn't catch who did the animation services, as they call it. But I enjoyed this episode. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I enjoyed it because I think the style in which the expressions in this one is done very well because you're dealing with characters with masks. And so you have these very nice, more cartoony expressions like you would find on like Looney Tunes or something like that, where a character would have this
Animaniacs,
overexpression or something like that.
Yeah.
But
which is fine for this.
Which is fine. Like, I enjoy it because you have Batman and Robin who are both in masks. You have the Riddler who's a mask. His goons be like, when you have a character who doesn't have a mask, the expressions are a little more odd. But if you have someone in a mask, it makes it more expressive because they look a little more cartoony.
You can make it a little more abstract.
Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. A little more abstract. But I enjoy this episode. I thoroughly enjoyed this because it's the introduction of the Riddler, and like he's wanting revenge because they stole the patent. They stole the patent to his game, and they fired him up. They fired him for being a turd, which, you know, he's the Riddler. He's self-centered beyond belief.
Yes.
But so he wants to get revenge, and Dick Grayson, Robin, is a rabid fan of this game, and he's be like, you find because they utilize Robin very well throughout the entire course of, you know, Batman and Robin, New Adventures of Robin, New Adventures of Batman. But
they've started bringing Robin in more often now that he's truly been introduced as a character.
Yeah.
In previous episodes where they had him show up, it's like, well, we still want to focus mainly on Batman, but there's a couple times it makes sense that Robin will be here too.
Yeah, and plus they brought in Robin to this TV show because they wanted to have more of a, like, oh, kids can relate more because there's a younger character in here. So because we did recently Robin's Reckoning, which was a fantastic 2 episodes, and this one's a really good episode because you have Robin, who is, like I said,
it's playing to his strengths as
agreed,
as a younger character who understands what the youngins are into. Pardon the tone there.
Minus be like, even in this episode, Robin's already in college.
Yeah, but it still makes sense he would be into video games.
Yeah, he would be in video games,
and there is something kind of funny about Robin playing this this computer game on a very expensive supercomputer because that's what he has in front of him for this scene, pretty much. And Alfred even kind of comments on that. But you have to wonder, nobody's made it to the center of the maze?
Apparently.
Nobody?
Over the course of 5 years? Probably.
In 1992, which is assumingly around the time this takes place, and admittedly the internet is not around. How would you know? I'm just asking.
That is true.
And if that's the case,
they mail in their results, maybe. Who knows?
They take a picture of their television screen and send it into Nintendo Power. That's how the Tetris people did it for a long time. I'm not kidding.
I know. I've heard of this.
Wozniak, the co-creator of Apple, had to start putting in different names because they quit publishing his scores of Tetris. I'm not kidding.
I know. But yeah, this is a good episode. I enjoyed the introduction of the Riddler and the entire maze and the Minotaur and how Batman's able to cheat the system by using the hand of fate, which is like, okay, I love that. Love the design. I love the design of everything. The Minotaur, when he goes, be like, destroy them, and he just goes, because they're using a slightly different animation style with the flow of the characters. So I enjoy how the Minotaur be like, there's certain characters you use that kind of animation with, or that style of animation. It looks great. On your regular Joe, Joe Smith, it's going to look really weird because the expressions and the.
I think it would have looked better on a CRT television.
Probably,
because I don't think this would have stood out as much.
Yeah,
There is one little logistical thing I want to bring up. When you answer a question wrong in this, the hand of fate comes to pick you up. How are people writing in real life that hand of fate?
It scoops them up.
You don't see safety problems with that?
Oh, yeah. Someone tumbling off, falling.
Very easy. And all Batman had to do was stick his batarang into the cloth that this thing was made from. I'm sitting there going, where is it going to take them? Is it going to take them to the pits or whatever it was called? And is there a way out that's like underneath the maze? You're forced to leave because you didn't complete it. It's like,
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
It
like-
makes you, does you bring you back to the beginning, which makes sense.
and then you have to buy another ticket to get into the A-list attraction because we're making fun of Disney back when Disney still did that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Back in the 90s?
Back in the 60s,
Oh, 60s. Never mind.
when Disneyland first opened, and you had to pay per ride.
That is true.
You
But-
don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, either or. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. It's really well done. Yeah, because I think we're doing a two-parter next time.
Yeah, next time we are doing Heart of Steel parts 1 and 2. So join us next week for that,
Mm-hmm.
along with The Great Mouse Detective.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, unless you have anything else to add,
Nope.
this has been Drew,
This is Jacob.
and we'll catch you in the next frame.
To follow Jacob and Drew's individual internet exploits, check out the Linktree links in the show notes. You can email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com, follow us on Twitter or X at @cast_cell, follow our Facebook page, The Cellcast Podcast, and join our Facebook group, The Cell Nation, our YouTube channel, Cellcast, and our Rumble channel, The Cellcast Gaming. You can join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Central for our live recordings of our episodes on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble. You can also join Drew on those same streaming channels on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Central for gaming streams. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts can be downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. Our bad movie theme is It's Party Time by Gregory Snegoff, with additional audio from the film Titanic: The Legend Goes On, and remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Now, milady. Now, Parker.
I like trains.